my day off. So I'm going to do what I enjoy. I'm going to be hanging out around the house, cleaning up, a little gardening. I'm actually going to go up and see if there's any more green tomatoes I can get out of the garden. I went out to feed the chickens and I got a few eggs and decided to make me an omelet this morning. I have an herb garden and I looked over and I had some herbs going. This is flat leaf parsley. I just have had tons of that this year. I've dried it and freezed it and done everything to it you could, and I'm just went ahead and picked a little fresh this morning and for my omelet. And right beside that, by my herb garden, I have some tomatoes. So I had some little cherry tomatoes and a small tomato. They're not getting very big. I don't know, it's the end of the year and they're just not, by the time they start getting big, they're getting a few spots on them. So I've been picking them early or picking them green. Mostly I've been picking green because I love green tomatoes. There's so much you can do with green tomatoes that I've just been learning. She had cut up some green tomatoes and tomatillos and some, I don't know, pepper and onion and sauteed it up in butter. And so I tried that and it was delicious, and I'll be eating that often. So I went over and had that for lunch with my mom, and we both loved it. And so I'll be getting more of my tomatoes green. I like fried green tomatoes, but I don't necessarily need the fried food to pickle green tomatoes. I have a video that I will post at the end of this where I pickled green tomatoes. And I also have a video where I done dill green tomato relish. So you can watch those videos. And so I just wanted to show you, everybody knows how to make an omelet, but I wanted to show you how I went out and got fresh ingredients this morning and how wonderful it is to live on a farm and be able to just walk out and get fresh ingredients out of your yard for your omelet. I went out and got eggs. I went to feed the chickens and there was some eggs. And I just want to show you the difference here. I've talked about these huge eggs, and several people that I have mentioned it to thought I was talking about double yolk eggs, and I have had a couple of double yolks, but these are all just huge. Here I have one chicken that's laying these huge eggs, and I'm not real sure what kind of chicken she is. I think she's just a Rhode Island Red, but I'm not real sure. And I've got different breeds of chickens, so some of them I'm not real sure what the heck they are. They've just bred, and I've gotten them from here and there, and this one particular chicken has just amazed me. She lays these every time. This is not just a chance happening or a stretched egg or a double yolk egg. She just lays these every morning. She lays one. So I'm going to show you the difference. I don't know if I can. This is just a regular egg that I normally get from the other chickens. It's kind of a medium egg. It's not a large egg. It's a medium egg. But compared to this other one, how big, she just lays these huge eggs that you would think was a double yolk. She lays one every morning. I wished I had several more chickens like her. I have onions that I have dried. We grew a lot of onions this year, and I dried some. I dehydrated them. I don't have a dehydrator. I use just a screen out in the sun that I dry on, and it works fine as long as it's good warm weather. It won't work, of course, in the shade and in the wintertime. That won't work for me, but it works in the summer when it's hot. And so I have some dried onions. I may throw a little bit of that in there. And I have, I had some leftover chicken. I had a chicken leg left over, and I don't throw anything away. I try to use as much as I can. Now we have a pig and the chickens and the dogs, and a lot of times I always throw the scraps out to them, but sometimes I save stuff. If I know I can use it, I'll save it, chop it up, and put it in my omelet. And so I'm going to get all this chopped up And oh, I also had a couple of radishes. They've about had it, but I can cut them up and get enough out of that to have a little radish in there. Also, I use coconut oil, and I'll put some coconut oil in there for my omelet. And I sometimes will use just a little pat of butter. Butter, not margarine. We don't use margarine here at all, ever. Real butter. I will use a little pat of butter because I like the flavor that it gives, so I'll probably use a little pat of that. Sauteing up my radish, my chopped up radish, and my dehydrated onion just a little bit. I'm sauteing them in the coconut oil. I'm gonna saute them up just a little to get them softer before I put everything else in there. So that's what I'm doing over here. And I have chopped up my tomatoes and my parsley, and my chicken's already chopped up, and I'm gonna beat my eggs. I have put the rest of the ingredients in here. I'm letting that all saute around just a little bit. I'll put the parsley in at the end. I'm fixing to put my eggs in. This is the way I do it. Anybody that knows me knows I am not a cook. Like, Lee cooks way better than I do because I just don't like to cook that well. But I love using fresh ingredients like this. That makes me a happy cook, is that all these ingredients are just fresh stuff out of my garden. That makes a big difference for me on cooking. It's a satisfaction of getting all this stuff out of your own yard and your own garden and bringing it in here and throwing it together. That's satisfying to me. That's how I like to cook. And so I'm not a great omelet maker. This is just the way I do it. But I always saute up a little bit to soften stuff that might be harder. And then I will put my egg in. I will just let that cook a little bit, put my parsley in, flip that over, and call it good. And that's how I like my omelet. It's not the best, prettiest omelet in the world. I guarantee you that. It's probably the ugliest omelet in the world because of the way I do it. And I'm not very graceful at flipping it over either. But that's the way I do it, y'all. And the reason that I made this video, everybody knows how to cook an omelet. My purpose in this video was to show you that I walked right outside. I got eggs, parsley, tomatoes, anything you have in the garden. So if you don't have that, get you some backyard chickens and at least have the fresh eggs. Make you a little herb garden with some herbs and tomatoes, and at least have that growing in your backyard so that you can have a delicious omelet anytime. Y'all, thanks for watching, and please subscribe and give us a thumbs up and keep watching our videos. So I told you I wasn't a cook and it wouldn't be pretty, and it's not pretty, but it's delicious. It's not pretty because when I went to flipping it, I flipped a little too hard and it started kind of scrambling, so I ended up making scrambled. But that's okay, it's delicious, y'all. I'm gonna show you, even though it's not pretty. I will show you. I don't make pretty food, but it's delicious.